still weigh the same as I did in 1976. They've never asked me to change that. I don't know what's going on. And I've noticed that TSA officers and police officers often look at me with suspicion when they see my driver's license, and they look at me. So anyway, but you are an inspiration, though, Matt. I just want you to know that. You want to tell us how much you've lost, or is that private? 101 pounds. Thumbs up. Great. Can't eat fruit. Can you eat chicken fried steaks on your diet? If anybody knows of one, a diet, Marley's is missing me, by the way. That's all I got to say. But all kidding aside, Andy and I did start this new routine for Lent. You know, Lent it's like a New Year's resolution part 2. Because many of us will fail on our first attempt to fulfill what our New Year's resolution was. But Lent comes around a few weeks or a couple of months later, and we get to try it again, right? We get a second chance to do something that's more, healthy or meaningful or whatever. And when a person decides to do something that is life-changing, right, Matt, like you're doing, you have to have a lot of dedication and discipline to do so. So I have a new favorite word this week, and that word is regimen. And regimen is defined as a prescribed course of medical treatment, way of life, or diet for the promotion or restoration of health. That's a regimen. And as you know, sometimes when I play with a word, I like to go back to the origin of that word, to see where it came from, what it's connected to, what they call the etymology of a word. I really like that kind of stuff. And I looked at the word regimen, and I discovered a few things. One is it's related to the word rudder, R-U-D-D-E-R. And, of course, you know what a rudder does. It keeps a boat straight and keep it going in the direction it needs to do. And so in terms of dieting and exercising, you need some kind of a rudder, something to keep you on course. We're now in our third week of our Lenten season, which I've called the Core of Discovery, and of course that is what was the name given to the group of volunteers that began the Lewis and Clark expedition back in 1804. It began right over here in St. Charles, Missouri. And as you probably know, the first part of that expedition took them all the way down up the Missouri River as far as they could go. And being on a river like that, I'm sure required some kind of rudder just to keep them going in the right direction. And so a regimen does that. A routine, a regimen does that. It serves as a rudder. The other thing I learned about the word regimen is the root word is reg, R-E-G. And that means, going way back, R-E-G meant to direct in a straight line. So we see a theme here, a pattern, right? So think of the words regulate or regular. So a regimen, like a rudder, keeps us regular, keeps us moving in a straight line, going forward, not wavering or getting off course, but keeping focused on the goal ahead. And that's why a regimen is important. And that's what, to me, Lent comes around once a year and says, I want to be your rudder. We need to start, it looks at each one of us and says, we need to start a regimen for a spiritual diet and exercise plan. So, of course, the first place we often look, if we want to do that, is look to Scripture. That's where we get a lot of our inspiration and kind of serves as our rudder at times. You look at all the readings today, they all make references to food and drink and hunger and thirst. And it's the way these words are used, there's a literal meaning, but there's also a spiritual meaning, or what I call metaphorical meaning. And I could play with all the readings today, but I'm just going to focus on the reading from Isaiah a little bit, and also the psalm reading that's on our calendar today, but we didn't read it. But I'm going to read some passages to you. That's from Psalm 63. So if you've delayed and you have not started a spiritual regimen for the season of Lent, then now is a good time to do it. As Isaiah said, seek the Lord while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. In other words, strike while the iron is hot, while the opportunity is there. Going back to my and Annie's physical diet and exercise regimen, we are doing just that. We're striking while the iron is hot because her son, Andrew, is here. And just for a short time, maybe a few months or whatever, however long he's here, he is serving as our personal trainer. And he wants to do that. And he said that's what he's going to do because he knew we needed it. So he has become our rudder and helped us develop a regimen. And hopefully he'll get us in a good routine so after he's gone we can continue on that path. We'll see. But what I want to do now is see if I'm going to lay some groundwork for a healthy spiritual regimen for all of us. And I'm going to offer you 4 points that you can easily remember. And then after that, I'm going to come down there and we're going to engage in what we call crowdsourcing. And I'll explain what crowdsourcing is when I get down there. And we're going to talk about different ways, things that are beneficial for us in a spiritual way. What should be part of our regimen? So I want to hear your ideas in a little bit. So 4 points. The first thing you got to do, any of you ever been in a 12-step program or whatever, you know the first thing you got to do is you got to admit you have a problem, right? So I think we first need to admit we are spiritually malnourished. We are hungry and thirsty, spiritually speaking. Isaiah said, everyone who thirsts. Now I think he could have said, everyone thirsts. Everyone who thirsts, come to the waters, he said. Now there's a context for those words because Isaiah's people had been in exile for many decades. They were in Babylon, and now they were about to go home. But they were both physically and spiritually malnourished. And so as they're leaving Babylon, Isaiah invites them to come to the waters. Now, literally, he's referencing the Euphrates River because they will have to get through that river in order to go home. But they can also stop and fill their canteens while they're there, right, to get a lot of water. But he also meant it. He's not just talking about physical thirst when he says come to the waters. He also means it in a spiritual way. Come back to God. You're leaving Babylon where you were spiritually malnourished, and now you get to go home and come back to God. Come to the waters, the living waters, in other words. Now, the writer of Psalm 63 has a very similar thought. He says, "O God, you're my God. I seek you. My soul thirsts for you." He doesn't mean that physically, right? He's speaking spiritually, metaphorically. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you. Have you ever been real hungry? You get lightheaded, feel like fainting? He means this spiritually. It's a double meaning, in fact. You're going to be hungry and thirsty. And then he says, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. Now, you and I today, in our context, we may not be as physically hungry and thirsty as those people were back then, but in terms of our spiritual health, the season of Lent comes around once a year to remind us, because we're getting a little too cocky, to remind us that we also live in a dry and weary land. Spiritually speaking, our souls are parched. We are spiritually weak, and we're not going to get better until we acknowledge our need for a more disciplined spiritual regimen. So, number 1, admit that you're hungry and thirsty. The second thing, number 2, we have to make an effort. We have to make an effort. Our spiritual sustenance is not going to just fall from the sky like manna. We're not going to walk by a rock and the water's going to come gushing out of it, physically or spiritually, however you want to look at it. We have to come to the waters, says Isaiah. We have to seek God, says the psalmist. And those are action verbs. We have to make a move. Now, depending on one's theology, we might not be the first to make a move. Maybe God is making the move first, but we do have to make a move. We have to go to the store and we have to buy the healthy food. We have to go to the gym and get a membership. We have to do that, and we have to work out. We have to do our thing, and it's got to be a daily regimen. That's important. That's an important word, daily. Because let's be honest, 1 hour on Sunday morning is not going to cut it. Not if you want to enjoy a good, healthy spiritual diet and exercise regimen. 1 hour on Sunday morning is just simply not enough. Think about it in terms of your physical health. Let's say you joined a gym and you went to that gym 1 hour per week. Is that going to do you any good? No, nothing. And neither will just 1 hour a week in a holy gym like this. That's not enough for your spiritual regimen. So you have to make more of an effort. Number 3, no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you can do this. You can do this. And now, in terms of physical health, it is true, not everybody can do it. It is true that eating healthy and working out, that sort of thing requires money. It requires leisure time. It requires ability. You have to have some physical ability to get on a bike, right? Not everyone possesses all of that. So, trust me, in terms of the price of food, your grocery bill, if you decide to eat healthy, it's going to go through the roof. You're going to be paying a whole lot more if you shop only and buy only the freshest things and, non-processed foods and all that. And not everybody can afford to do that, right? So physical health is not as convenient for everybody as spiritual health. But spiritual health, a good spiritual regimen, is inexpensive and it's attainable for all of us. Isaiah hints at this when he says, and again, he's speaking metaphorically here, and you that have no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. What he's saying is that spiritual sustenance is something that is attainable for all. It's not something that only the rich can afford, like a college education for their undeserving kids at an elite school, right? Don't you love that story? So number 3, we can all do this. This is good for all of us. Number 4, not just any old spiritual diet and exercise regimen will do. We need to be picky. We need to be choosy. Again, Isaiah, and again he's speaking metaphorically. Why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which does not satisfy? Why are you wasting your time and your money, he's saying. Now, I'm no expert, although I've been doing this for nearly 30 years, and I've learned over the years that there are good, that is satisfying, sustaining, nurturing spiritual regimens, and there are some that are not so good. There are bad ones. So we need to be picky. Now, one of the benefits of the annual "Let's Give Up Something for Lent" tradition that some of us engage in, it creates an opportunity for us to give up things that are not healthy for us, right? It kind of gives us that, just like a New Year's resolution. It tells us we can do that. And just like some diets may not be real good for us in the long run, and some exercise routines in the long run, it may actually do you more harm. Depends on what's going on with your body and all that. We have to be wise about what we choose to be part of our spiritual regimen. As Isaiah says, listen carefully to me. Eat what is good and delight yourselves in rich food. And similarly, the psalmist says, my soul is satisfied as with a rich feast. Now, I'm not sure rich food is all that healthy for you, physically speaking. But his point, again, he's speaking metaphorically. His point is that we should eat or drink for our souls what is good for us. Not what is bad for us, but what is good. So number 4, we need to be picky. So what I'm going to do I have my mic on, Ron? Okay. Come down. So as I said, we're going to do a little crowdsourcing. Some of you heard this word. You see it on social media. What happens a lot of times is people have a question like, where's a good restaurant, or what should I do for this, or whatever. And so they'll put the word out. It's called crowdsourcing, right? You're just trying to get information from as many people as you can. So we're going to do that. So my question for you is, what have you discovered in your own life, or you've seen or heard about from other people, that would be spiritually nurturing for you? Now I'm going to take 2 answers off the table, because I know the first 2 answers are going to be prayer and Bible study, right? Maybe going to church, we've already covered that. Now, saying that prayer is good for you is like saying eating salad is good for you. Okay, we know that. Saying Bible study is good for you is like saying walking is good for you. Okay, we know that. So we're going to be a little more creative than that this morning. So give me some answers. Raise your hand. We'll get it. What's good for you, Daryl? Journaling. Yeah, we talked about that at Wednesday. Some of you were there Wednesday for our Lent series. But journaling. Why do you think journaling is good for you, spiritually speaking? That's right. In fact, somebody called it earlier this morning a gratitude journal. A gratitude journal. So it disciplines you to stop and think about the good things that are going on in your life and what to be grateful for. Because most of the time, most of us just overlook those things and go on with our life. That's good for your soul to live in gratitude. What else? Yeah, Larry. Religious activities that are available. Not just on Sunday morning, but others throughout the week. Yeah. Right. Sandy? What's that? Quiet time, yeah. And that could be for the purpose of listening, or just getting your stress level to go down, that sort of thing. And that's good for your soul. And the funny thing about all this, and I think the Isaiah and the psalmist are onto something here. It's not an either or. It's not spiritual or physical. It's both and, because they both go together. What's good for your soul is good for your body and your mind and your heart. All of it goes together. Yeah, Nancy.
Last week we had a Zen Buddhist at our interfaith dialogue,
right.
And his meditating was very important to him, and I can see how that goes with Sandy's quiet
right.
time and getting your mind. He said your mind might wander around, but eventually you will get to something profound.
Talking about meditation, they heard a Zen Buddhist last week, and meditation is good. It's a lot like quiet time. It's trying to still your mind and so forth. Your mind will wander, but you can get it back. Yes. Helping at camp. Helping at camp, right. Yeah, getting there with other people and getting outdoors, and that can be good for you. Yeah. Way back there, Lynn.
I call it
Pay it forward? Oh, yeah. How many of you ever go through Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever, and you get to the window and they said the person paid for it already? Has that ever happened to you? That's pretty cool. And then you say, well, I want to pay for the one behind me, but how much is the bill? Right? That's what I do. Over here. Marianne. Volunteering to help other people. Yeah. It's good for the soul. Oh, let me go back here. Right, Sarah. Ah,
just that busyness and how they can sometimes
right.
get trapped.
Getting over busy. Right. Looking at your calendar. It's good for your body and your soul. Sandy.
Keeping yourself open for blessings, looking
Open for blessings, right. Kind of that stop and smell the roses kind of thing. Yeah. Don?
I like reading, Jimmy.
Reading?
I like reading about different religions. I like reading about history of things. It helps me understand some of the difficulties
Right.
and understand different people's viewpoints on things that vary from mine. I think I get a little broader perspective,
Right.
a little broader acceptance of things that I didn't get in the past.
What's good for the mind, good for the soul, good for the body. It all goes together. Do I have another hand over here somewhere? Larry?
Make sure that it doesn't end with your generation, and you help others,
Ah,
the next generation coming, with working with youth groups.
right. Working with the youth helps prepare the next generation. Right. Y'all are doing good. See what crowdsourcing does? I never could have come up with all this for a sermon. Anything else, real quick?
Listen to your spirit.
Yeah, Barbara?
It helps me. It's difficult because I like to talk, but calling others can't be here
Yeah.
and finding out what's going on in their lives and just giving thanks for all of their blessings. And
Connecting with others and really, yeah, getting to know them, what their issues are, and helping all. Yeah, it gives you perspective too, right? Yeah. Yes.
Listen to uplifting or spiritual music.
Music, listening to music, and I want to add a little plug for a choir because studies have been done. Joining, participating in choir is good for the soul. It's good for the mental health. It's good for the soul. It really is. Where else can you sing during the week other than the shower and the car? But with other human beings. I don't know anybody in here that's in a rock band. If you are, tell me. I'll come listen. Yes, Ed. What's that? Choir what? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. But it's good. I mean, there's something about singing that's just expressing yourself in that way, even if you can't sing, like moi. Okay. Well, that's good. So I just wanted to kind of start the engine a little bit this morning. Maybe inspire, a few of you to think about doing something a little different. So I'm going to reiterate the 4 points I make. Number 1, admit you're spiritually hungry and thirsty. Number 2, understand you have to make an effort. It's not just going to come to you. And number 3, you can all do it. Doesn't matter what your resources are. Everybody can do something. And number 4, try to be a little picky about it. In other words, don't join a cult. Okay, that's kind of what I meant. But join the choir. Even a cult choir would be okay, but Wouldn't that be fun, a cult choir? What would that be like? What kind of music would that be? Don't drink the Kool-Aid kind of thing. That was too soon? It's like 1970 something, wasn't it? Okay. I hope that you discovered something this morning. This is our core discovery, by the way.